What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 53 of the Size Up by National Fire Radio, because what you do off the job does matter. And I do have a little bit of housekeeping to handle real quickly. If you are a avid weekly listener, I messed up last week's episode and I called it episode 51 when it was really supposed to be episode 52. And I didn't even go back and check that when I'm saying this. I just know I did it. I just know I screwed that up when I recorded that one earlier today. So, this is really episode 53. I don't think anyone's counting. Like, maybe I'm the only person counting. I don't even know why I count. I don't even know what the point of it is anymore, but whatever, we're counting. So I'm really excited for episode 53 here because, in my life, if you follow me on social media, I'm definitely known for my mohawk. I mean, it's on the logo of the Size Up, and that's what I've had. And that wasn't the mohawk wasn't anything like, oh, social media, I need something to make me known. It's just a hairstyle that I kind of developed or ran. I didn't wait. No, sorry, I didn't develop a mohawk. That's long punk rock music before me. But for me, it just became a thing to have a mohawk. But I digress. Occasionally, you'll see on social media, I grow a mustache not just in November. Now it kind of rotates through the year. It makes my two young sons love me even more as a father, especially my older son. His friends, like, no joke, and it's hysterical. Like, he'll be in a lacrosse game and a kid from another team will kind of be by the sidelines and be like, awesome mustache, man. Which is just hysterical to me. Like, I'm like, buddy, concentrate on your game. Thank you, but please pay attention to the game, not my face. But through having a mustache, I got to meet my guest today, Brett Tompkins from the original Mustache Club. What's up, my brother? How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. And he is a keeper, if you're not watching on YouTube, a keeper of an epic mustache. How long has that been going on for you?
Well, I've grown it off and on for a lot of years, and then when I started the original Mustache Club back in the end of 2020, that's when I started keeping it for year round.
Well, you really can't lose it. If I had like a Mohawk Club Facebook page, I couldn't lose the Mohawk. So you
Right
can't
now,
lose.
yeah, now I'm stuck with it. The family's stuck with it, so they've all accepted it.
Well, my wife has not accepted it yet. So maybe if I started a page, it would just be another argument for us to do that. But it's interesting because just we were talking about it the other day. I think it came up that I was interviewing you. Actually, it did. It came up that I was interviewing you, but how that kind of happened was in a few episodes, I'm interviewing someone else with it's a pretty epic mustache. And my older son saw it and he was like, Dad, you need to grow one like that. And I'm like, bro, dad is not there yet.
Right,
And then my wife was like, you're never growing one again. And we go round and round because that's what you do with your spouse, right? You go round and
of course.
round these things. And she's like, it's not like you've always had it. Like, it's not like the mohawk that you just seem to like. I don't really remember. Like, she's like, I know we met, you didn't have a mohawk, but I just remember you with it. And I'm like, hun, but that was because I couldn't grow a mustache when we met. Like, I couldn't grow this epicness like I can do now. And she still doesn't
Right.
appreciate
Yeah, that's. I always enjoy it when you get that mustache out. I
it.
almost don't recognize you right now.
That's what a few folks say too. Like, it was funny. The most recent shave of the mustache. I like walked into work and no one said anything, and then like 2 hours later, somebody's like, "What's wrong with your face, bro?"
Right.
Like,
Yeah, I've had that before too. We've had new guys show up, and I had a mustache because it was November or October maybe, and then I shave it, and they're like, "Wait, what's going on?" I just thought you were a mustache guy, which now I am, but back then it was a seasonal thing.
it's an interesting thing. Like, and I never really even thought about it. Like, when we were younger, at least I felt like, there were guys with mustaches and guys that weren't. Like, and
Right.
I feel like maybe mustache grooming, let's call it, when we talk about this lifestyle was a thing. But is it more of a thing now? Like, you're basically one of the experts out there on it. So give us some tips here on it.
Yeah, I don't know. My theory is 2020 saw a lot of guys starting to grow their facial hair out, and that's kind of when I popped in, and I always say that by the time I showed up, it was going strong, and it's almost like I just kind of named something that was already there, and guys liked it, and it just kind of took off. But I think 2020 was a big part of it, the current boom of mustaches.
Well, you could hide your mustache too. Like if it would take, like I remember when
Right,
I used to try to grow a mustache in November, like Movember way back in the day, and it was horrible. Like
right,
there was just I was trying. Like I may as well have been like sitting on the bowl, like trying to push out mustache hair, facial hair at
right,
that point. Um, so in 2020, if you were wearing a mask everywhere, no one got to see that stage. They just got to
right,
see the months later of, whoa, look at that mustache.
right. Yeah, you didn't have everybody witnessing the awkward phase that you went through.
That awkward phase, I mean, it still exists. I think it exists for everyone, probably from
Oh
like
yeah,
week 2 to for me now, I think it's like week 2 to week 4 probably is where it kind of is weird. And then
right,
back to, but also too, when I've now grown it, can't tell you how many times it's been on or off, but it feels more natural now as it's happening. So I don't even notice the awkward stages much.
right. That's good.
I mean, it's a bonus for me, and I guess for those around me. But so
Right.
so of course we're coming back to mustaches and male grooming at some point. But let's hear some stuff about you to just kind of talk about the person behind the page because the page really isn't you. It's mostly other people's mustaches. I mean, you appear
Right.
occasionally, but you don't even make it like, hey, this is me. You're just a guy
Right.
who you see every couple of posts, every like 20 posts or so.
Yeah, it's really about celebrating mustaches and getting them out there for the world to see and just OMC for life. So
I'm
I
just
just
pissing off my wife. You could just say it. It's okay.
yeah, right. Yeah. I piss off a lot of wives.
It's funny though, because my wife was actually, she's like, I really like mustaches. I just don't like it on your face. I'm like,
Oh geez.
how rough is that? I'm like,
Yeah, that's
you're looking at other dudes with mustaches and like, oh, check him out. And then when your husband grows one, you're like, nope, I'm out.
yeah, right.
So a little bit more before again, we're going to talk about mustaches, but a little bit more about you and your background here.
Sure. Let's so yeah, I started my fire career in the Air Force. So I did 4 years in the Air Force, active duty, and I got out. I was out for a couple of years. Got my current job as a contractor here in Nevada, and then I actually, after 9/11, went back into the Air Force for a year and did fire. Got out, and then I've been where I'm at ever since. So I've been in my current department since 2000, minus the year that I was back in the Air Force.
Was that kind of the plan? Like when you were at the age, like, hey, I'm going to join the Air Force, was like, I'm going to join the Air Force and be a firefighter, or did you want to be something else and it just kind of went down that path?
No, that was the plan. I kind of lucked out because I went in without a guaranteed job, and I'd in high school, I'd started out real high. I wanted to be a doctor, so I was in an anatomy class, and I really liked it. So I started out wanting to be a doctor, and then the closer I got to graduation, I lowered the bar. I said, well, maybe nursing. So I
Yeah.
actually got a scholarship for nursing, and then I thought, oh, maybe I could be a paramedic, and that'll be fulfilling that need. Then and then I lowered down from there and ended up with, oh, a fireman or paramedic. And so that's kind of how I landed there. But there was a few other things that got me going in that direction. But the medical was what really sparked it in the beginning. And, I even went lower than paramedic. I'm just an EMT, but
It's
it
crazy
still
because
landed me in the fireman spot.
you're still saying you're lowering the bar, but it's still the best job in the world. So of all the ones you could get, because how many people
That's true.
are firefighters and nurses? You know what I mean? Like they're a firefighter
Right.
on the side. They do nursing. I mean, that was, to be honest, that was my plan. Not my plan originally, but part of my plan with my wife was that I became a paramedic so that I could springboard paramedic to nurse and then work as an RN when I retired. She would do travel physician assistant. I would do travel nursing, and that was our plan.
Sure.
It just didn't work out that way. I got
Right.
the paramedic spot, and then life took me in a different direction, let's say.
Yeah.
But those were never steps down. I think everybody at one point wants to be a doctor, and then you're kind of like, this might not be for me.
Right. Yeah. I started looking at all the work that goes into that. I'm like, yeah, what could I do that's similar but not as much work?
Yeah, I mean it's definitely one of those things that like it seems like a great idea at one point in your life. And then you look at it and even so with my wife being a PA, we obviously know a lot of doctors. And so many of them are like, I should have just been a PA instead of a doctor.
Right.
Just because of that length of time you give of your life, to get the title of doctor, of MD, versus some other aspects of medicine, let's say.
Right. Yeah, it is a big commitment.
Yeah,
So
it's you. I mean,
yeah, I'm
hey,
pretty
all the
happy
people out
where
there, kids, be a doctor. Be a doctor, kids. Don't listen to us. Be a
yeah,
doctor
right.
before five.
Yeah, we need doctors. We need less guys who just want to have fun and play video games and get hot every once in a while.
And ride on the back. But the medical end of it too, that's what got me sort of. I mean, my father was a firefighter, but I started as an EMT. And I still like the medical end of it. Granted, I'm a truck captain now, and we do the least amount of medical in my department. But I've done my
Right.
years on the bus and did my years as a paramedic, and that medicine end of it it keeps your brain stimulated. I feel like, as opposed to
Right.
some of the other things you could do out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure does. So we for a lot of years advanced EMT was our highest level. And then just over the last few years, we started hiring paramedics, and so it's been a game changer for us. It's helpful having those guys around, and they can do a little bit more than we can, and so it's been nice working with them and having that available.
Yeah, I mean, advanced EMT, we don't have that in New Jersey. We just have EMT. We're the most
Okay.
basic of EMTB you could be. Um, and again, our population, New Jersey, and our distance to a hospital is very different than, say, Nevada, where you are, where maybe
Right.
we don't need advanced EMTs because we have paramedics. But I feel like those stepping stones are something that on the EMS side of the curtain is totally missing here in New Jersey. Like, you're either an EMT or a paramedic, and then there's some
Right.
supervisors. You don't
Nothing in
have,
the middle.
yeah, exactly, that middle management type spot almost. Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, I got my sound. I can barely hear. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I don't know. How's that better? Any better? Nothing's
Yeah, it's
changed on
something
that
on
part.
my phone, I think. I don't know.
Ooh, that can't be good. Better now or
Better
no?
now or no? Yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay. I got a
Oh,
little feedback though now. So hold on, wait. Oh, now we're good. Everything is good. Can you hear me?
yeah.
All right, good. Now we're back in. Technology is just not a friend of anyone in this world. I've actually learned, and I've said this now in the past too, that like serious podcasts that do things virtually, they just send their guest like a whole setup.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, hey, here's a computer and here's the mic and here's this.
Oh,
This is how
okay.
you plug it in, and then that's why they don't have problems. And they have really good editing, probably too.
Right.
Uh, but unlike us here, where we just have those problems. Yeah, but that like middle management part, that's something that I kind of even like about the fire service. Like, you're a probie or a rookie, and then you kind of go into that firefighter role. And then depending where you are, you kind of have the acting position that you can, or your driver, your engineer position too. You have this room for advancement, and you choose kind of how you want to advance, I think.
Right.
And when you have that kind of missing, it takes away some of the drive to want to do better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. It's one of the challenges in my department because there's so few officer spots and there's so many people that want them. And once they get filled, because they're pretty coveted, that guys tend to stay in those positions for a long time. So that sometimes is a detriment because there's no openings for people. And so sometimes we'll lose people because they want to go somewhere else where they can move up.
Yeah, and just move and do something different and grow, And it's funny because we started this kind of thing about mustaches in that awkward stage, and it's almost like that's that stage where it's that awkward stage. What do I want to do? Do I want to promote to be an officer? Do I want to promote to be a driver? Do I want to, and I'll say just be a driver, but that is the most important position in the world, and in my world, at least as a captain, like my driver, whether it was the engine or the truck, that's your go-to for everything.
Right. Yeah. So we have our firefighters are drivers also. So we got kind of a combined position there. And then we have lieutenants and then one captain over the lieutenants. So I'm a captain, and in the Air Force, it's kind of like a station chief. So we don't run emergencies, but we run all the people. So it's somewhat bat chief work, just not on the emergencies. So,
That could get to be hectic sometimes because I've learned in my recent stint as the acting deputy that sometimes running the people is a lot more complicated than running the incident.
oh, yeah, that's the biggest challenge.
They don't tell you about that part. No one out there, like no one's making cool social media posts about like be a firefighter. You may have to deal with 20 people at a time, their
Yeah, right.
personalities.
Yeah, and then you study the literature on leadership and things like that, and everything sounds so easy until you apply it, and it's not so black and white in real life.
Like leaving the door open for a meeting is just not the easiest thing in the world. You can't do that.
Right.
The book tells you that's what you're supposed to do, right? Or you know,
Yeah.
they give you these imaginary scenarios that are supposed to prepare you for like nothing close to what the real scenario looks like.
Right. Yeah. It's so easy. That's why I say leadership's an art. That's why I think it is an art. There's no, there's science to it, but the art is just figuring it out and figuring out different people. And some things work for some people and some things work for others. And
Yeah, and like that art, it's adaptability and change, if you ask me. Like you have to be adaptable because if you go
that's
into something so strict when it comes to leadership and people, it's just not going to flow. And
right.
once they start revolting, it's even worse. So,
Right. Yeah. And there's just, I've noticed recently just different groups of people. I was in the first station when I got promoted. And so I was with a group of guys that I've been with for years. And now I changed to a different station where there's a lot of newer people, and the dynamics just completely different. And so sometimes the way you do things with one group is completely different with how you work with the other group.
yeah, and you're the new guy, and boss or not, you're adapting to them. They're not
Right?
switching for you,
That's true. Right.
especially not on day one at all, or like day 90,
No,
probably.
no, we all hate those guys that come in. We have a running joke because we had a guy promote to captain, and he walks in, and his first day he says, "There's a new sheriff in town."
It's not going to
And
work.
that was 20 years ago, and we're still joking about it now.
You've clearly never heard the term like the inmates run the asylum around here,
Yeah,
buddy.
right.
That's exactly what happens, and we'll prove that to you.
Yeah,
I can totally prove that to you. Yeah, that adaptability is kind of with everything I feel like in life though too, where like especially in and again, it's really cliche and I say it a lot, like today's society, but even society, everything you have to adapt to what's new and what's around you, no matter where you are or what it is you're doing in life.
yeah, absolutely. That's been one of it's a big challenge just adapting to different people and just figuring out, what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, and when it doesn't work, if it was something that was your idea, you have to be like, well, I tried this way and it didn't work. Let me figure something else out. Or
Right.
even better than that line is, hey guys, what do you think about this? And how can we make it better together?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's always good. Sometimes the challenge there though, too, getting into the art of it is you give them input and then they start thinking it's their decision, or they get upset. You got five different ideas coming at you and only one of them's going to be happy and the other four are going to be like, well, why did you even ask me? Because you didn't even listen to me. But you still listen to one of the people.
That's the whole like, you sprinkle it, you always start it with a good positive and then you end it with a good positive in the talk.
Yeah, right. The sandwich.
Yeah, right in there, like the leadership book tells you. It was funny. We had a little thing come up when I was the acting deputy, and through the conversation, and these are all guys that I've worked with for years that now, and I'm kind of the boss. Let's say the substitute teacher is what we always call it when a captain is on the car.
Right.
And we talked about that sandwich, and I'm like, all right, guys, great, good job. And then one dude's like, bro, that was not the happy ending I was hoping for. Like, he's like, you totally had it perfect, but that great guy's good job. He's like, I need something more than that. And I'm like,
Yeah, right.
you look really good today. Like, is that what we're looking for here? Like, somebody give me one to, I need a little help here, guys. Give me the
Yeah,
positive to run out of here on. And they love that part.
right. That's funny.
Like, but that's it. You want to have that type of like open communication, I feel like. And on social media, you have kind of a closed communication. Like you make a post celebrating someone's mustache. I'm sure there's positive and negative comments that flow back, right?
Right. Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of negative comments, so I don't think I've gotten big enough to get that kind of
Good for
attention.
you, man. Good for you.
Yeah. Most of it's guys, you know, cheering each other on and pepping each other up. So that's been good.
Which is a great subculture of just life in general, right? Because you have a
Right.
group of people who have this common thing, and I'm sure everyone has someone in their life that is like, you do not need that thing on your face. So to be able to have a good positive outlet for it is a win.
Yeah, that's where I come in, with the encouragement. Keep it growing.
do, do you get like the, oh my God, everyone hates me, like private messages of like, how do I keep doing this? Or like, how do I get to achieve your mustache level
Oh,
messages?
I've had the messages, people are like, oh, my wife hates it, and I probably don't help because I always tell them like, oh, wives use reverse psychology. They really like it. They're just trying to get you to rebel and keep it because that's what they really want. So I may have been the cause of more than one fight at home.
Probably, but it's worth a try, right? That's a good, like, if you're gonna, when people message me for fitness advice, I always try to give them like the same starting line, no matter who they are, because you don't know who anyone is that's messaging you. That's a good
Right.
starting line, and then see if they come back. And if they do, then maybe you can keep them going, right?
Yeah.
It's a complicated thing though, because you're dealing with like men's grooming, let's say, right? And it's not necessarily the most masculine of topics, I guess. Or maybe today it is. Like, where do you weigh in on that one?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's pretty masculine. Like a lot of the I don't do a whole lot of grooming type content, but the guys that do, it's shaving and shaving cream, and so and there's a lot of people looking for that type of content too, because a lot of guys don't know like what types of products to use and what what razors or any of that type of stuff. So it's actually the videos that are out there, they're pretty well sought out.
Yeah, the wax thing is crazy. Like I did it with an episode with Griff, and he like walked me through waxing my mustache, and I'm like, I've been doing it wrong the entire time.
Yeah, right.
I'm
Yeah, I
like,
learned I learned by watching Bob and Elliot. I'm sure you've
okay,
seen him.
yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, so he's been huge in just teaching and passing on how to use wax and how to shave and all anything men's grooming. But yeah, I'd never used wax until I started this. One day a wax maker hit me up and he wanted to send me some wax, and I was like, all right. So just so you know, I've never used this stuff, so I don't know what you expect. Like for me to give some big reviews or anything. And I warned him that I don't know what I'm doing with this, but kind of learn over time and you watch different people and you kind of figure it out.
So that's like a lost art, and I'm not talking about mustache grooming. I'm talking about honesty, right? Because
Right.
right, so you see folks on social media, and again, we can be whoever we want to be on social media.
Right.
It's like I don't even know. People are like, "You're so genuine," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. That's just me." Right. But so you have someone, you have a mustache page, and a mustache wax maker's like, I want to send you some wax. You could have literally been like, cool, bro, I'll take it. But instead,
Right.
like, let me be human and honest with this guy, right? And I'm sure he appreciated that so much, or she, whoever it was.
Right. Yeah, I've always tried to remain authentic. I don't like misleading people or not being honest. So I try to be straightforward with wherever I'm at.
It's crazy that though, like we applaud that in society. Like I applaud that when I see people that are like I try to only follow people like that. The second, like
Right.
being from New Jersey, I tend to be a really good bullshitter, and that also makes me be able to see through your bullshit too.
Right.
That
Yeah.
authenticness of like, dude, just be honest, man. Show me the bad days, show me the good days. Like there's bad mustache days out there.
Right. Yeah, most of the time, because I'm not, there's a lot of guys with these super perfect groomed mustaches and they're just on point, and me, I'm more of a kind of a natural. So most of the time, my mustache is just not waxed and it's just kind of going crazy. And my wife's complaining about it. But, you know, every once in a while, I'll try to throw in some wax. So I'm still not as good as a lot of these guys out there. I'm not competition ready or anything like that.
Yeah, well,
Just,
that my son is like, "You're gonna enter a mustache competition." I'm like, Finn, do you see these men? Like, there is no
right. Yes. It's intimidating.
Yeah, like I'm totally good with my little like I'm happy when I go up to a bar and the bartender's like, "That's a cool mustache, bro."
Yeah, right. This is a good
It,
conversation starter.
yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, the mohawk too is a so that was a complaint that my wife had. She's not going to listen to this episode, so I can pretty much talk about her, I would say, as much as I
Oh,
want to. I can almost 100% say she's going to be like, no, not listening to you talk about mustaches with someone.
right.
But she was just in our recent mustache battle, the most recent. She's like, you already got the mohawk, you got a conversation starter, you don't need the mustache to have a double conversation starter. Like,
Yeah,
what more
right.
do you need? I'm like, I don't know, like a nose ring. Can I get a nose ring?
Yeah. I bet your department would love that.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't work with a nose ring for my department. I'm not director. I'm not getting a nose ring. It's not in my, maybe when I retire, I could throw one. I could see an eyebrow ring for me. Like I could definitely feel like some kind of thing in there, but
It's kind of
that'll be a retirement gig.
off
Retirement is
the,
going to be full beard, bro. There's no, I want a full beard so bad.
oh, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm not sure. I think I'll do the same thing. I don't know how well it'll grow out. Never been able to grow a very good beard.
So I couldn't, again, the same as with my mustache, but we have to do in the summer, we do our vacations, we back them up so you get 2 days off. So you have a longer time off. And I don't know if it was, I think it was last summer. I ended up using four all back together. And I tend to not shave when I'm on vacation because it's just something I hate doing anyway. And it came in really well. I'm like, dude, I could do this. I could have this cool beard.
Nice. That'd be cool.
And Tracy actually likes it, which is the weird part. She's like, I go for the beard and everything. She's like, it's just the
Right.
single mustache. I can't deal with.
Yeah. I've heard that argument before too.
Right.
That the mustache is creepy, but the beard is sexy. We got to flip that around.
Yeah, somehow we got to, because again, we're not allowed to have beards in the fire
Right.
service in
Right.
most departments, I should say. It is
Yeah,
probably,
I've heard of departments that do have beards, which I don't know how they pull that off, but
yeah, they pull it off. It's an interesting development, let's say. But again, to me, I don't think I would want to have one because I feel like my mask is uncomfortable enough when I have to wear it now. So why would I want to have anything there?
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like around, I'm not even being like, oh, the seal is like, I just feel like it would be even more uncomfortable than this thing sucked to my face. It's this thing
right.
stuck to my face with facial hair in between it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I can wait.
Yeah, I can wait. I got 5 more years. I can wait. It's gonna happen though. It is for sure gonna happen at
Yeah.
retirement. The retirement beard is coming.
It's the obligatory retired firefighter beard.
It's like the vacation beard. How do you tell a fireman on vacation? He's got facial hair type thing. Like it's literally when people ask me, like, what's the worst part of your job? And my answer is shaving.
Oh, absolutely.
And especially too, like beards are pretty popular. Again, good conversation starter. Like, dude, that's a killer beard you have there.
Right. Right. Yeah, because there's a lot of them, but then still when you're out and about, there's not so many. They're
Yeah.
still kind of not too common.
It's really funny. Can't believe I'm just talking about mustaches this whole time. But my on Netflix, they just recently had a season of Top Chef. It's like one of my wife and I's favorite shows. And they went back to like, I don't know, 2012. And there was this chef on there, Joe, with a mustache, and he was Mustache Joe because there was another Joe. And I felt
Okay.
like every episode, someone was like, that's an epic mustache. Like, that's an epic mustache. And he's like, thank you. And he's like, oh, your food is good too. But the first thing was always that conversation starter of the mustache.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I get compliments when I'm out and it's all like one side's good, one side's all like crazy and they're, oh, I like your mustache. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what's wrong with you? I'm not even put together today.
I just
But I
want
guess
to have
it's still
Ben.
so different, different than what you see with everybody. It's not as common. So,
Yeah, it's definitely and more than the mohawk. I definitely get more compliments on the mustache than I have ever on the mohawk type thing. I think the
yeah,
mohawk is just noticeable and people are
right,
like, "Whoa, that guy's weird." Where like at least the mustache is like it's a more common thing that people have and they're like, "Oh, that's
yeah,
really cool, man."
right. I feel more comfortable commenting on facial hair
Than
than your head.
mohawk. Talking to the stranger on the street. And especially in New
Right.
Jersey because we in New Jersey we are very much a like head down I'm getting to where I gotta go, F you type of society.
Right.
So when you get like someone stopping you on the street or like rolling down the window to yell at you or something like that for it, or one of those things, it's a big deal in Jersey, I feel like.
You're right. A little bit of positivity.
Yeah, we get so yes. Oh, see, I can use that for my wife. It's New Jersey positivity that so many people compliment me on.
You're welcome.
I am trying to make New Jersey more positive, one person at a time, by having a mustache.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So now your wife's going to be upset with me too. I'll just add
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
the list.
You're in the list, bro. You're totally in the list now. Like, listen, if she's mad at me, she may as well be mad at you, right? There's
Yeah, I'm
no.
going to start getting some hate messages.
It's so funny though, because again, like I don't really know why I grow it in sometimes. I'm just like, I'm gonna have the mustache again and see what happens. And
Right.
it's fun, and then I shave it off, you know?
Right. Yeah. I always did the Stashtober and Movember, and then I'd try to see how many guys at work I could get to do it. And it was always a goal to get a picture with as many guys as I could that had stashes. So some years I've had a lot, some years not so many. But now that it's full time, guys will every once in a while they'll just grow one, and then it will go away. And I always, shed a little tear, and you know.
That's what I think. This most recent time I shaved it in November, and all the guys that were growing one were like, "Dude, you were like my rock," and I'm like, I've had it for 2 months now. Sorry, I started too.
Right. Yeah, I remember my wife used to complain about it the whole month, and then I would shave it, and then she'd say, "Why did you do that?" I guess apparently I got to the phase where she was okay with it, and then I would always shave it. But
Yeah, we
now
got
it's,
that
it's
phase.
there to stay.
Someday I'll get that phase. Maybe someday we'll get that. But Tracy, if you're listening, I do love you. Everyone out there, I do love my wife very much. You can go and listen to her and I's episode on the podcast. Listen to me and Finn. We talk about all that love. This is it's just some fun.
Right.
Like it's kind
Yeah, I
of
mean,
like growing it
I
up.
could tell that just from your Instagram page. Your family seems real close knit, and you guys are always doing fun things together. It's cool to watch. That's one of those inspiring things that, like, I want to be like that family.
Oh, thanks, man. We try. We definitely maybe I put the highlight moments on the Instagram reel
Oh
there.
yeah, of course we do.
But it's one of those things too where like, listen, we're just out here trying to have a good time. It's just like this, what I told you before. Like it's just a conversation between the two of us. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and
Yeah.
that's where you hope other people get inspired, like on this episode, right up to this point, I'm like, God, I hope somebody's laughing at us. If not, they've all tuned it out. Like this guy's a great.
Right. Yeah. The mustaches. I'm
Yeah.
out.
I'm totally out. I don't want to listen to guys talk about mustaches. But I think that's one of the fun things too in life, and trying to inspire people is, I get inspired by people who make me laugh. You know what I mean? By show that side of their life that, hey, I want to try that. Like our
Right.
Iceland trip that was our amazing adventure. And I'm always happy to talk about it with people because you should do it. Like take the trip, save the money, take
Right.
the trip.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Travel. That's one thing that I wish we would have done more of. Looking back, because we've got older kids, and then we've got one younger. She's 9, so we're trying to.
How
Yeah,
much
we're still
younger? I
trying.
have to ask, how much younger than your like on
Let's see.
time
We
is
have 23, almost 24. We got it. So one's almost 21, and then we got an 18-year-old, and then the little one is 9. So
okay,
it's
so
a
9 year gap there.
yeah. So it's a hers, mine, and ours type scenario. So we
Gotcha.
we got married and had one of our own, and so she's our baby.
Gotcha.
But we did a lot of trips with we call them the bigs, but we didn't have a whole lot of money back then too, so it wasn't probably as much traveling as we would like to do. So now we try to do a little bit more with the little one, and try to savor that time because we know how fast it can go by.
I too was a later in life born child.
Oh,
My sister's
okay.
17 years older than me. My brother is 14
Wow.
years older than me. And then I appeared, let's say, they call
Right.
you they call you a miracle, but you really are find out you're an accident when you were older. Just an oops baby is what I was. But my parents the same way. Where like with my older siblings, they were younger and didn't have as much money and didn't do as many things. Where like me, the baby, I went to Disneyland and I went to
Right.
SeaWorld and I went to
Yeah.
California. My brother and sister are like, we went to the Jersey Shore. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. We got those little comments like, oh, it must be nice, but that's just the passage of time and how it works out.
That's it, man. My sibling, you could tell your kids, my siblings are in their 60s. My sister's in her 60s, and she still picks on me about stuff like that from
Oh,
being a
yeah.
kid. So you're allowed to do it forever, like however it works, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's been cool though. Like she's the baby, and when she was born, they were a lot younger and they were all excited. And except for my son, he wanted a brother. But since
Doesn't work
since
that way, buddy.
yeah, since then he's been a super awesome big brother, and he loves her to death. And so she's just the baby to everybody, and so she's probably one of the most spoiled people I know.
I have no idea how that works. I have no clue.
Yeah,
Like
I bet.
nothing. I got nothing to say about that, man. Bad
Right.
topic. Let's move on.
Moving on.
No, it's one of those things. Like I don't even think they knew they were spoiling me at the time. Like I just think it was so different. Like it's so different for you and the point you're in your life now with your younger daughter than you were when your older kids were born. Like you don't even realize you're doing it, and they probably do it because my brother and sister spoiled me even worse than my parents did. I feel like I got away with murder because of them.
Right. Yeah, we know we're doing it. We just don't care. She's the baby. So,
Which is okay too, right? Why
yeah,
do you have to care about that? Like, hey,
right,
the one thing too, and I talk about this with my kids a lot, is just, understand that these things are happening to you and understand why. You know what I mean? Like this is not the normal life for everyone type thing.
yeah, right. And we have pointed that out.
And
Yeah,
that
the
helps. No
power,
one told me that. So tell her that for sure.
right? Yeah, the force in her is strong.
She just wins you over. Like that's what they do.
Yeah,
That's what we do. Like literally, when you're the baby, you just kind of smile and you're good to go. Like
yeah, that's what she does. She's good at
uh,
it.
but those types of things, like travel and just what you can do in your life, that all kind of adds up to everything you can do off the job to make your life better.
Right,
And I like seeing on social media, like even on your page, like seeing different people with mustaches, like, but where are they? And reading the little blurb there about them. I just talked about this last week. Like you have to read the blurb on social media. It's not just a picture, even though we're all drawn in by the picture.
right. Yeah, I love guys' stories. That's why, I wasn't even aware of your podcast, and I'm glad that you popped up because I started listening to a couple over the week at work, and this conversation with people is that's an awesome format, and I love hearing guys' stories and kind of what they do. Like at work all the time, I'll ask people like, what do you do on your days off? Like what is Jim's first day off of work look like? Just because I'm curious to see what
Yeah.
other people are doing. And
So what does your first day of work off of work look like? How about that? I could throw it right back at you there, Jim, whoever Jim
now
is.
it's different sometimes. It's usually a lot of just sitting around. I come home with we have either 72 or 96 hours off. So sometimes that could be a detriment because I'm thinking like I have so much time off. So now I can just kind of relax for a little bit. And then it sometimes goes a little bit too long because you think you have all this time and then you throw it
You
all
look
away.
down and it's 4 o'clock and you didn't do
Right.
anything all day but watch
Yeah.
Netflix. I've
But I
never
mean, I
done that.
found that, if you save things for the last minute, it only takes a minute. So it seems to work.
That's could be the best piece of advice ever for anyone. Just save it for the last minute and you'll get it done, right? It's funny how you look at your days too. Like, so today is my first day off, and I tend to not like doing podcasts on my first day off, but sometimes I have to do that just because of the way everything is going to flow. And it's the fear of I could have been up all night last night. I could have been out. I could have been doing
Right.
everything. And how am I going to be today? By this point, if I was up all night, I would be running on pure adrenaline and caffeine and trying
Right.
my best to survive right now.
Yeah.
Luckily, that didn't happen. But then you kind of have your next day because so I always have 72 off. Where like my next day is my day to usually get stuff done for sure, like the next two.
Yeah. I'm definitely more motivated on the second day.
It was hard too, and my time on the car, especially when I first got promoted to captain and started working on the car, and it was like a whole new world. My wife literally after maybe like the fourth or fifth shift was like, "You need to take a nap again." She's like,
Yeah.
"Come home after those shifts," because I wasn't sleeping. Like it was a ball of nerves, and I still
Yeah.
am on the car, but I'm much more comfortable now because I've done it so many times.
Right. What's I don't know. I'm not familiar with that term on the car.
Oh, so you act up as a deputy chief. So we call it the
Oh,
deputy
okay.
chief's car. So it's just you're on the car.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you have
Terminology,
a lot
sorry.
more on your shoulders.
Oh my God.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that.
It's funny because like it's just a different color shirt, but it's so much more than that. Like
Right.
there's
Yeah,
just
it is. Everybody always thinks it's so easy because you watch someone that's been doing it for a lot of years, and then when you get into there, it's not quite as easy as it appears.
yeah. And you wonder, I'm like, how did those guys do it? Like, and I was really fortunate in just the way my career has kind of happened to spend most of the time in the house where the deputy was, to know the deputies really well and kind of be mentored by them, both being a firefighter, a lieutenant, and then a kind of a captain, let's say. But um, I got to see that all happen, and I asked these guys that I've worked for, I'm like, how did you do this job so long? And they're like,
Right.
hairs, look at my hairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely had less gray before I moved up into the captain position. That's for sure.
And it's something to think about too, like if you really want to do this or not. Or do you really want this part in your career? At the part you're in your career, do you want to do it?
Right. Yeah, a lot of people just, they move up fast because they just like, all right, I see the upward mobility and I'm just going to keep going until I can't anymore. And some like me, I took my time and I waited till I felt like I was actually ready because I didn't want to promote to my level of incompetence and end up being out of a job because I didn't know what I was doing.
That's definitely something you don't want to happen ever.
Right.
It's crazy because so one of my best friends on the job is now a deputy, and I had never really thought of it this way until he made deputy, and he's like, yeah, dude, that job we had over on this street, he's like, that's the last fire I'll ever go into because our deputies don't go into fires. They run the scene. There's only
Yeah.
one on every shift. Occasionally, if we have a big fire, one will come in and assist, but they're never putting their turnout gear on and going into fires.
Right.
You don't really think about that until you get to this point where you're like, oh, when
Right.
when I go get ready to go for my next step, you never know which fire is going to really be the last one you ever go into.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
And it's a way to think. You don't think about it that way ever until you're here, at least. That's the way I feel.
Right.
So for you, you're mostly admin or both sides of it?
No, both sides. I still ride a truck and so a lot of admin and I'm still on operations.
So at least you get to that end of the job. You just get more responsibility in that end of the job.
Right. Right. Yeah. I have to deal with all the harder part, the working with people, and then the guy above me just gets to do the fun, running the calls type work.
Gotcha. 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 Yeah, it's never a fun one when that one's going on. So what else though, aside from running the social media page and being a dad, what else you got going on when you're not at work running calls?
I'm like a hobby guy, so and my interests changed all the time. And I always say I'm not like an expert in anything. I just dabble in a little bit of everything. So, my days off are like my recent just last week I got into decluttering my house. That's been my latest project.
I don't know if that's a hobby or just an
That's
ongoing.
not a hobby. That's my next go-to. I like working on cars. I like building things. I bought a welder last year. I haven't had as much time to play with it, but I'm always just like learning new things and self-improvement, and that's pretty much what
It's
I do.
how that stuff creates like an escape though, right? Because you have this like high level, you have to be on job the time you're there. And then you have to find something that occupies your brain sort of in the same way, but not, right?
Yeah, that's probably part of it. Like I like to stay busy, so
I think
have
that's a
something to do.
that's a big part of the people that do the types of jobs we do where we just want to be busy. Like,
Right,
like I don't need to be busy like 100% of the time. Go, go, go. I never take my turnout pants off, and I'm just always
right,
busy. I do like to relax a bit here and there, but I like to keep myself as occupied as I can.
right. Yeah, another story that kind of piqued my interest in the fire department when I was in high school was passing by the fire station, and I looked through a window and I seen a guy playing a violin out in the stalls. And I just thought, like, how cool is that? You're at work, but you're still able to like learn a skill or get better at it.
Yeah.
So
And
that,
I've never heard of anyone playing a violin in the firehouse. We've had a couple pipers roll through that,
yeah,
were
right.
practicing while we were at work, a violin and guitar players, but a
Yeah,
violin.
we've got guitar players. I've seen a keyboard, but maybe it was the fiddle. I don't know, but he was
It's
having a good old time.
it's still one of those cool things too, because it's something that when you're in a place for so long, because some folks work 48s and 96-hour shifts, whatever the crazy time you could be in that place that's your house, you do need that ability to escape a little bit. You're still
Right,
on and you're still ready to go, but that little bit of for that person playing the violin could have just been their escape from whatever it was they might have just seen.
right. Yeah, that's a good point too.
And I think a
Some
lot of folks like with the mental health initiatives that we have now, they're doing a great job forwarding, you need to talk about this. You need to not keep it inside. You need to seek help and get help. But they're not really saying, well, what about all these other things you should be doing or could be doing in your life that are important?
right. Yeah, yeah, that's a good message right there.
Because all
Just
too often we don't think
that's
about it, right? We don't think about like that guy, your guy's playing the guitar. They just think, I just play the guitar. They don't see it as their escape from that reality, I guess.
right. Keeps their mind from wandering and going nuts.
Yeah, and just takes those things that we see that are negative and you turn them into a positive. I know with music, I wish I wish I had any talent in music. I have zero. My kids have unreal talent in music. Don't ask me where they got it from. But to have that, to be able to create like that, it's just unreal.
Yeah, yeah. There's some people that are awesome. Like once again, I dabbled with guitar. I got fairly good at it. Then I kind of moved on to something else, and I probably wouldn't be able to play any notes again if I picked it up. I'd have to start all over again. But there's some people that are just super good. The natural talent. And
Yeah, and then they decide, oh, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a paramedic, but you still have that natural talent to run through with it.
absolutely.
I was definitely never like a tinkerer. Like my dad was a mechanic on the side, or he was a mechanic before he was a firefighter, and he continued to be a mechanic through his career. And people are like, "What do you mean you don't like cars? Like your dad, all he did was work on cars his whole life." And I'm like, "Yeah, it didn't stick with me.
Right.
I drive the car and then I park it."
Yeah. Yeah, no, I work on our cars, and just because I'm too cheap to pay someone else to do it. So I kind of learn as I go, and my wife's complaining. We got her old car right now. I didn't trade it in. We decided to sell it on the side, but I got some work to do on it, and she's been nagging me because how long is that going to take? Just sell it, and I'm fighting back like, well, we're going to lose a lot of money if we don't fix it.
I can fix this. I swear. I saw it on
Yeah,
YouTube. I could totally
YouTube
do
University.
it. Which is another phenomenal way to learn things, even with mustaches. Like I watched so many YouTube videos, like you said, about the grooming, where I'm like,
Absolutely, yeah,
sometimes I'm like, son of a, like I can. So I like to wear a bow tie, and I like to consider myself dapper sometimes when I get
yeah,
dressed
yeah,
up with things. And I watch the same dude. I don't even can't even tell you his name, but for like 15 years now, I watch the same guy. African American gentleman wears a blue shirt, ties a red tie every time I tie a bow tie.
yeah.
Like I'm a rope rescue technician, but I watch the YouTube video every time. I was in Italy watching this guy on my phone just because that's what I do when I tie a bow tie now. Even though I know how to do it, I watch him.
Well, that's cool. Sure, you'd
I'm
love
get,
to hear that.
I'm getting them views like left and right. I don't even know if he still exists as a. I know his video is still on YouTube, but I haven't looked to see
Right?
it because he's still putting out content. Um, but it's
That's,
so funny how many things you can learn from there.
oh yeah, I took apart my truck engine last summer, the whole top end, and rebuilt it all just from watching YouTube videos.
Sorry, my dog's going a little crazy. Give me a second here.
Uh, no worries.
She's not a fan of the Amazon folks that deliver packages to my house.
Oh yeah,
About that. She's been really good this whole podcast too. I just can't win. Like, but that's life, right? And that's what happens in my life sometimes if I don't put the dog in the basement because I feel like a bad dog owner by doing that.
I heard you talking about that on another podcast.
It's a common occurrence that goes on here.
Right,
My oh so professional studio that is my front office.
right.
which
It
again,
makes it work, you know?
and that's even podcasting. I'm watching videos about how to make a podcast better, how to use this crazy soundboard. The guys from National Fire Radio got me to do this. And I'm like, I DJ'd when I was in high school with turntables, but this is not the mixer that I used to use.
Right. What's that saying I hear a lot is done is better than perfect. And the more you do it, you know, the better you get and things improve over time. And
Well, so I've never heard that saying before, and I like
you
it.
haven't.
None is better than perfect, but I am
Yeah.
not improving in my podcasting. As much as I'm trying to improve in my podcasting, I feel like I'm not.
I bet you are. I bet if you go back to the very first one, you'll notice a lot of improvements over time.
Probably. I'm so against watching myself that like maybe I'll have to do that and just see what the some of the earlier ones look like or
Right.
sound like, I should say, because we've all gotten better for sure. Like the whole group of us, and now Mickey Farrell is out. He's going to be putting out some tactics and tips. And we're all kind of growing this conglomerate, whatever you want to call it, of shows that we all have our own end of it. And mine is this. It's the conversation about what you do off the job. So watching a lot of YouTube definitely happens.
Yeah, right.
But who can say they don't anymore? Like even my little guy is very into YouTube, and some things he watches on YouTube are very inappropriate, I feel like, for his 11-year-old self. And other things, I'm like, where did you learn that, dude?
Right. Yeah, it's so true. You just, and it's hard. It's so easy to give them the iPad and let them just go off and watch YouTube. But you gotta kind of have a little control over it so it doesn't get out of hand. But it's definitely, it can be a good thing. It can be a tool as long as like just with anything,
Yeah.
with excess, it becomes a problem. But if you within limits, if it's not 1 in the morning and you're watching, big wave videos for 30 minutes, I don't know how I got onto those, but it happens.
I've been down that rabbit hole for sure.
Yeah.
I watched lots of big wave videos on there.
Yeah, shoot. Last week in California, they had like a king tide and something else, and there was campers on the beach they were in the
Oh,
middle of the
wiped
ocean.
out. Yeah. I saw that. I did see that.
Yeah, so
So
that sent me down a rabbit hole.
we've had, so you might have called Jersey. So we've had like 3 winter storms this year that are throwing like 10 and 14-foot waves out of the Jersey Shore, which does not happen like ever type thing. And then we have some folks trying to surf them and not exactly ready for that type of surf. So that's been,
Right?
they're out there. They're on YouTube. You can watch them.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be down that rabbit hole today.
Jersey Jersey Shore waves will definitely come up.
Yeah,
But it's
put
one
it
of
on
those
the
things
list.
too. You can learn so much from it. Why not? You know what I mean? And pick and choose what you want to learn.
Yeah, yeah, I love it because, like I said, I try to learn every day, and I'm always off, learning something different. And that's YouTube's like the perfect avenue for that.
Well, you also have like a killer gamer chair that you're sitting in right now. So you got to definitely spend some time there.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not a gamer either. I just thought the chair looked cool. I bought it with some fantasy football winnings a few years ago,
Nice. That's a
which that
that's like a
doesn't happen
bonus.
often. So,
That's did you have a bad season this year?
oh, terrible season. Like it started off strong and it ended strong, but in the middle, something went way wrong.
Went south there. It just didn't work for you.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I used to do fantasy football, and then it might have even been honestly, it might have even been 555, like starting five, helping start 555. That my wife was like, if you're gonna do this, you can't do fantasy football because you're way
Oh,
too involved in that, and then you're way too involved in this. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, I'll give up the fantasy football, I guess.
Right. Yeah, I could see that.
Because you can go too far down that way of having too many hobbies or being way too
Right.
invested in something that you're taking away from what really matters, your family.
Right. Yeah. And that's usually, I'll get some pushback from my wife, especially like the working on cars. She sees me out in the garage every day off. She's like, you're already at work so many days and then you come home and you're out in the garage. And so I definitely got to balance that out.
Well, especially if you're not fixing her car, because that needs to be the priority.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I better get off Netflix today.
Get off Netflix, get off the podcast, and go fix your wife's car. See, if she listens, I win
Right.
I have increased my
Get a new
stalking.
follower for life.
That's it right there. But meanwhile, my wife is blocking you in every possible form right now.
Right. And sending me nasty messages.
She's gonna be like, he's gonna grow his mustache back now. Two mustache people in 1 month on the podcast. You can't do that, Pip. You're gonna grow it back. Well,
Awesome.
listen, man, this has been a great hour of just chatting and learning more about, the man behind the page that I've been following for so long and learning so much stuff from. And as you said, you've been listening, so you got to know that the size up 10 is coming then, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice, quick 10 questions that never seem to go too quickly. You ready for them?
Yeah. Let's go.
All right, man. Beach or mountains?
Mountains.
I'd say in Nevada, you get a lot of beach that's not really beach. So I'd go with mountains.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, man, I'm always in, like I said, I'm all over the place. I'm usually a middle of the road guy. So it could really go either way.
Night out or night in?
uh, Night in.
Always, I agree. A good book or a good movie?
A book for sure.
A cross country road trip. Who's your celebrity co pilot?
Oh, shit. I'll have to think about that one. Probably probably someone like Matthew McConaughey. I think
He
that
has
would
been
be
picked before, and he would
the
be an
entertainment. Yeah.
epic, entertaining road trip guest. I really wanted you to say Burt Reynolds, though. I don't know. I was just thinking Magnum PI and mustaches. So
I guess I didn't go back far enough. So that's a good one. I
it's
might
your
have to
choice,
change
though.
my,
It's totally your choice. You can't tell
yeah, I might
me.
change my answer.
Just I was thinking epic mustache and Magnum PI came into play. So
Right.
which in a totally different note, we're in Iceland and Magnum PI was on the TV in
Oh,
Iceland. And my kids were like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "Oh, we're watching this episode, man. Wait till you see what this guy pulls."
funny.
Where am I at? Do you make your bed every day?
At work, yes. At home, no.
First person to ever give that answer. I'll tell you
Right.
for sure. So what's a good book then that you want to recommend to everybody?
This is probably my go-to. My most influential book is Win Friends and Influence People. I read it a long time ago. It really changed kind of how I interact with everybody.
It's a good one. I don't think I ever finished it. I could be wrong, but I feel like I definitely started it a long
Sure.
time ago.
Yeah.
I might have to revisit that one. Which one are you taking? Highway or back roads?
Highway. I like
Gotta
getting
get
there.
gotta get there.
Yeah.
A bucket list place to visit.
See, I think right now Alaska, and we're actually going there in July. We're taking a cruise up there.
Awesome. That is on my bucket list. Let's do the same thing. Take the cruise. Like we just haven't done
Yeah,
it yet, but it's
we're
definitely there.
we're excited about it.
Yeah, you get to see so many cool things from and like the marine life is what everybody like. I shouldn't even say just the wildlife, I should say, not just marine, but if you do like that
Right,
train ride, how many cool different animals you get to see.
right. Yeah, I'm excited to get up there.
Awesome. Well, make sure you document that on the mustache page, like the mustache in
Yeah,
Alaska. Mustaches of
absolutely.
Alaska
Yeah,
2020.
right. I'll see if I can find some native mustaches.
You can, I guarantee you could definitely find some cool native
Yeah,
mustaches up there, man. Like there's no doubt in my mind they're rocking some good stuff.
yeah.
All right, two more. Football or football?
Football for sure.
For sure, you play fantasy football. There's no doubt.
Right. Yeah.
All right, the last one. The best advice you could give to your younger self.
Uh, there's so many things. I think that the latest thing that's really just been aha is communication. You know, so many problems like relationship problems and problems at work and problems with coworkers and superiors and subordinates is all comes down to communication. Just getting better at talking things out and not jumping to conclusions. And I think that would be the best thing I could tell myself because I still get stuck in some of those traps.
Yeah, it's definitely something we could all do a better job at, like,
Yeah.
and that like jump to conclusions, for me is like, you don't have to have the answer 3 seconds after someone says something.
Right.
That would
Right.
be that communication end of like, take a deep breath, think about some things, and then communicate appropriately.
Absolutely.
I love it, man. Well, listen, this has been a great hour, Brett. Where can everybody find you? I've said it a few times here, but on the Instagram, where do they follow you at?
That's so Original Mustache Club on Instagram, same name on Facebook. Most of my content's on Instagram, and I've got a TikTok page. I don't do a whole lot on there, but maybe one day I'll do a little bit more.
You and me both, buddy. I got a TikTok page too. I don't do much on it at all.
Right.
Again, though, a lot of that is that video based, and I still like the picture, man. I like the picture with the blurb. I don't know. I'm just a traditionalist, I guess.
Yeah, I do too. A lot of the I've seen a lot of things about reels and videos and how Instagram's pushing those out, but yeah, I still prefer pictures. I like posting mustache pictures and looking at mustache pictures, and so I'm still old school, I guess.
All about that mustache porn. You could say it. It's all right, man.
Oh yeah, it's
Whatever
all
you
over my phone. No shame.
this has been a great time, man. I'm happy to finally get to sit down with you, and I want to thank you again for coming on. I want to thank everybody for listening. As always, thank all of our sponsors. Make sure you're tuning in too. We got a whole bunch of shows out on the National Fire Radio platform now with Mickey and Rob releasing their own shows recently, and Jeremy still pumping out that content all the other days of the week when we might miss or don't fill in. It's really an honor to be a part of like something that's just growing and growing and growing with National Fire Radio. We got some cool plans for 2024. I know we're still whenever this episode comes out, we'll still be kind of new year-y, kind of new year, new you. It's probably around the time where everybody's given up going to the gym and all the things that they did at the beginning of the month or so. But this has been Pip for the Size Up by National Fire Radio, because what you do off the job matters.
National Fire Radio.